Hello, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about mentorship. And what does it mean to have a mentor and what value does a mentor have? I can say I've been blessed throughout my career and my life that I've had some tremendous mentors, but I've also had some situations where I wish I would have had more mentorship. So today we're going to talk about what does that mean and what value does that have and what is the impact of with and without somebody that's a mentor. And why are we even talking about this? This is probably a podcast you're going to say, well, why do I even want to listen? And part of that is because it's helpful to have some framework and some context about the conversation. So Kyle Fuller and I had a conversation a year and a half ago, and one of the things I was saying to him is that without a mentor, we might learn everything we need to learn, but what will it take us? What's our cost of acquisition to do that? Versus having a mentor, there's obviously a cost because we want to be respectful of that person's time, but what is the cost and what is the benefit of doing that? So the point I guess I would make here is as we talk to agents, as we talk to people that are interested in this business, and or even when I'm talking with clients, part of our responsibility as agents walking them through this IBC concept is to be that mentor. And what does that mentorship bring? What's the value? So the idea is that we're going to learn everything we're probably going to learn anyhow. God's knowledge is all within us, and a mentor is a lot quicker about bringing it out. So you can either have, and this is the conversation I was having with Kyle one day, so you can either have skin knees for 2 years, or you can have skin knees for 6 months. And that 6 months versus the 2 years is the difference between having somebody that help you understand and get through the business a lot quicker, understand how to use the policies that we have and how to become a good practitioner with the assets we have versus not. I mean, I've learned things in my life on my own, and I can tell you from my own experiences that becomes very expensive. And so as we're thinking about how do we justify bringing somebody else into our business, because if you think about it, that's really what we're doing. As an agent, if I'm looking at a mentor, I'm inviting somebody into my business as well as they're inviting me into their business. We have to realize it's a two-way street. And what do we mean by a two-way street is they're taking their time, the mentor's taking their time, their energy, their focus, their talents, and they're transferring or trying to transfer those things or that knowledge or wisdom, because they really can't transfer skills, but that knowledge and wisdom to somebody else to help them develop their knowledge and skills. And so they've invited the mentee into their life, into their business, and the mentor is also taking time away from their practice to do those things. So it is truly a two-way street. It's invite. It is done in the right way. Hopefully it's a long-term partnership, and it really needs to be a win in both situations. So all I ask anybody is, if you're a client and you have an agent, are they being good mentors to you and helping you understand what the process is? And that's why hopefully you've paired with them, is because you have a relationship with them. They've invited you into their business and given you a free invitation to invite them into your business. So whatever the situation, if it's an agent or if it's a client, it doesn't really make any difference. One of the things I want to touch on today is what is the ultimate benefit of a mentorship program. At Factum Financial, one of the things we talk about with new agents or agents in general is that we want to pair that person with a mentor. But there's a cost associated with that, right? You're splitting cases, you're doing business with them. And that's payment for their time. What do they bring to you, or what do they bring to the new agent is knowledge and understanding of this process, knowledge and understanding of what Factum has to offer, just good counsel and guidance in general. Again, if it's a good mentorship program, it doesn't have to end. Quite frankly, it turns into a great partnership. And in a great mentor-mentee relationship, both sides should be learning. Both sides should be taking away this idea of having more value at the end of the day. And this is the conversation about 1 and 1 being 11 versus 1 plus 1 being 2, just by changing one little aspect of that conversation. So why am I even going there? The reason I'm going there is I have a conversation with a lot of people in our industry, both agents and clients, and the ones that really get it see the big picture. Ones that really understand bringing a professional into their lives, into their business, understand that they're going to grow their business way bigger than anything they're ever going to give up. And I think about this from the standpoint ultimately, as a business person, I just want an increase in my profitability and my net revenue. That's all I really want. So does it matter if I pay somebody else to help me get there? But it's funny how some people don't want to necessarily pay for that. They would rather have smaller net income and net profitability because they didn't want to share. And to me, that's a bit of a scarcity mindset. And the best way I can probably, as an illustration, a couple of years back, we had a storm at our lake place. And some people argue if it was a tornado or not, but we had a storm and it came in and it made a heck of a mess. Let me put it that way. But so trees were down, our deck was tore up, our shingles on our house were tore off, the siding was loosened, garage was a mess with the roof and the siding. So it literally made a huge mess. And again, we probably had 25 trees down. So the lawn was destroyed, shoreline was destroyed because of the wind and the roots that were all pulled up. And so most people would say that's a net. How I saw it probably 10 minutes after it happened was like, this is a great opportunity. It was probably one of the best things to have happened to us at our lake because it gave us the ability to see things a little bit differently. It gave us the time frame. I was telling my wife, I said I had a 5-year plan to take some trees down, to do some repairs on the deck. Basically took that 5-year time plan and shrunk it down to something in the neighborhood. It took it about 5 minutes for that whole storm to change that time frame. And we ended up getting it done in about a year and a half, everything we want to do over the 5 again, we planned a 5-year time frame. It's probably closer to a 7-year when we think about it. So it was truly a blessing. And was it painful? Absolutely. Up front, it was a mess. It was disheartening. It was sometimes tearful. But at the end of the day, it was the best thing to have happen to us. We were able to do so many things that we'd never even dreamed about because of the storm that came through. And so how does that relate to having a mentor-mentee relationship? Well, sometimes we see the short term as like, oh my gosh, I'm going to split my business with this guy. I'm going to do a handful of cases with him. I got to share my book of business with him. And it looks bad because we have to give away, but we miss the big picture of what we're able to see and what we're able to gain because of that relationship. And so this is the real benefit when I'm talking from an agent to an agent that's been around and doing this for a long time. Those relationships can have benefits both ways. As somebody that's mentored a lot of individuals, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me some time. I got to schedule this person on my calendar once a week. We're going to have meetings. It's going to be exhausting. But what I find is that I learn a ton from those people that take mentorship seriously. I find energy and being invigorated to help them and have future conversations. And quite frankly, we're finding some partnerships right now. Partnerships to grow and do things that we hadn't even thought about doing. I hadn't even thought about doing. But because of this relationship, now the business is be able to take off and go a whole different direction I never thought of because of those relationships. So again, it goes both ways. It's that storm. It's all about how we perceive it. And again, are we looking at it from a long-term perspective versus a short-term perspective? So I guess at the end of the day, what am I saying? What is the benefit of working with a mentor? And if you understand it, I'm probably preaching to the choir. And if you don't get it, probably somebody that isn't going to completely understand it either and probably isn't going to want to participate in it. But how I would suggest to people is from an agent standpoint, think about the value you can bring to your clients by bringing somebody else into your business. Again, they don't have to be part of the appointments. They don't have to be part of the conversations, but having a conversation with somebody before or after meetings just to get a different perspective, a different point of view is so helpful because it makes you think about things maybe you wouldn't have thought about, or it makes you be more disciplined and it holds you accountable. That's huge and that's beneficial for your clients. For your business itself, what is it that person's bringing to the table? They're bringing years of experience, how to run a business, how to have a clear conversation to be able to bring value to your clients. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what we want is value to our clients and clarity and understanding and certainty. Those are all things that we talk about and that we believe in. And so what we can do with that is having somebody there with us to help us keep us on track, keep us focused, make sure that what we're doing is the right thing and we don't get off track. And so there's a huge benefit to having that mentor in your development plan. And again, it doesn't have to end. Hopefully, if we're doing it right, you never want it to end because you find so much value each and every day that you meet with that person. And I guess maybe the biggest pushback I've heard is like, I don't want to split my business with somebody. Okay, that's fine. Again, but what are you doing to grow revenue? What are you doing to grow a big business? If you don't want to do that, then why do you split your revenue with an admin person? Why do you split revenue with a marketing person when you can do all those things yourself? If you have the talent to do all those other things, why are you approaching this with that same thought process? And the other thing I've heard is, I don't want to have somebody create a mini me or mini you. So for example, somebody says, hey, Wade, I like what you do, but I don't want to become a mini Wade. Well, there's no chance of anybody becoming a mini Wade for a couple different reasons. But the biggest reason is that's never my intent. Anybody that is a good mentor never wants to make a mini themselves of anybody else. They want to make a maximum you. Ultimately, that's the value. I've worked with some mentors or some mentees, some agents I've worked with, have a great relationship. Still have great lifelong relationships with these people. And I think the real value that I understood that I could bring to the table is that I was never trying to make them a mini Wade. I was trying to make them a maximum you. I was trying to make their lives individually better by making them the most that they could be. And that's the sign of a true mentor. Just like my clients. If I have clients out there, I don't expect that they're going to do everything the same way I do it. I just give them perspective on how I do it and then help them develop the best process for them. We have a framework. Sometimes a framework is good. Just think about if you're driving down you want a guardrail on occasions. You might think, hey, I'd love to be able to see the scenery, but I really appreciate that guardrail. And that's really sometimes what a mentorship does, is it keeps that guardrail on the road. Keeps you focused and going down the right path. It's not that we're trying to make you go down exactly the same path, but it's like keeping the guardrails on there so you can still see the scenery, still appreciate what's going on, still building your business the way you want to build it, or using your policy the way you want to use it. But having somebody there to say, is this the right turn? Am I getting too far to the edge? Am I taking too much risk? Whatever the question you have, now you have somebody to bounce it off of. So I would encourage you just to take an opportunity, take the moment and think, what can I do to grow the maximum me that I can? If that's inviting somebody into my business to give me advice, to give me some wisdom, or whatever it might be, what is that worth to me? And can I bring, at the end of that equation is, can I bring value to that person as well? Because ultimately it has to work with both people. It has to work for both people, that they're both finding value in that relationship. In other words, why do we have that relationship? So I'm going to leave it with that. I just wanted to kind of touch on this just because I've had a number of conversations lately, and it seems like people aren't sure what mentorship means. They're not sure why they should even do it. So I want you to think about it. Look at whoever you're going to find a great relationship with, that knows what they're doing, has an understanding, and you're in alignment with the majority of your values. It doesn't have to be 100%. Quite frankly, nobody's going to be in alignment 100%, because again, we're not here to make mini U's. We're here to make maximum U's. And so, but they have to have some sort of alignment with your values. They can find a way to bring value. Find that agreement up front. It's like, hey, initially, we're going to start this off. Date a little bit, as it were. We're going to have 3 or 4, 10 meetings, whatever it might be, set the parameters. I'm going to say, at any time during this relationship in the short term, we can bail because we see it's not working. The quicker you can do that, the better off everybody's going to be. So give it some thought. Look for mentors in your community. Look for people you can mentor in whatever community you're in. It doesn't have to be just the life insurance business or the IBC world. Take the same advice and go out to, who else can you mentor from young people to scouts or your boys club or whoever it might be. There's people needing mentorships all the time. And it doesn't have to be just one specific area. It's just a passing on. Skills are not transferable. That's the whole thing. But knowledge and wisdom is. And so let's transfer some knowledge and skills and understanding and give sage advice to people. That's what's important. Again, it could be in this business or it could be other areas, but just understanding that being a mentor is as rewarding as being somebody that has a great mentor. I've been fortunate to have both of those. And so I just wanted to pass this idea along to each and every one of you that's listening, that this is the opportunity that you can take to step back and say, who can I find to help me through a new venture? Who can I find that I can pour into to make a better version of whoever that person is? So take that for what it's worth. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll be talking with you soon.